Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the one that I've been looking forward to for a while, Spider-Man Homecoming review. And joining me today are the boys Connor and Benny.
George, it's very late. Just turn down the energy a bit.
It is 12:30.
Did you just slip into like a southern accent?
Yay. Was that southern? I don't even know what that was. Yeah, it's 12:30 in the middle of the night.
The bad 12:30, yeah.
And we've just seen the film. Not Benny.
What film was that?
Connor and I have just seen Spider-Man Homecoming. The first film that Spider-Man is in the MCU, finally.
Not correct.
No, it's the second.
Oh, yeah. The first
No,
solo film for Spider-Man in the
now,
MCU.
It's the third, yeah. Sorry, I was about to say
It's
that.
the third?
Yeah, he's a little kid with the
Oh,
Iron Man mask.
Your favorite.
No, I'm obviously well prepared for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was an interesting one because Sony was getting involved. It was the first time Marvel were kind of
This is
not
a big
holistic.
deal.
Yeah,
Or
not-
literally a big deal between Marvel and Sony.
they were letting go of the creative control in some. There was some negotiation there, and this could have potentially been the first real big F up for Marvel. But yeah, what were you guys thinking going in, and did it meet your expectations overall?
So, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Launch in.
Going in, I mean, I wasn't too worried. Like it's a Marvel film.
The Sony thing didn't
we're all
worry
kind
you?
Well, a little bit, but ultimately, I don't think that Marvel would have allowed this to go ahead within the MCU if they weren't if they weren't confident this is going to be a kind of a Marvel quality film. And we're all Marvel whores. We basically are pretty much guaranteed to enjoy any Marvel movie that comes out. And I say Marvel movie, maybe not TV show.
Hey.
But yeah, so I mean, like going in, I wasn't too worried. I was a little worried about being overhyped for this film. This film had a lot to live up to, just with the marketing and the reviews that had come out, and people saying this is the greatest thing ever. So yeah, but I mean, it didn't really disappoint. Like I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I think everything leading up to this looked really positive. So I was definitely not worried. I didn't have low expectations. I very much got the idea that Sony had no creative input on this film.
Yeah.
Like this, they were like after that Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro Boogaloo debacle, they were just like, help us,
Yeah.
Kevin Feige.
We'll do anything, man.
Yeah.
This is 100% an MCU film. It doesn't have any bit of Sony on it. The only thing of Sony is the logo at the beginning, which was a little jarring.
Can
Then
talk
after
about,
that,
And then the Marvel logo comes in.
Yeah.
Can we
It is
talk
much
about
more
the?
epic.
I don't know about you guys, but I just felt this like surge of hate as the Sony logo came up.
it was like a little bit of a
Yeah.
is it? Are we?
You don't belong
is this
there.
going to be okay? Is
Andrew
this-
Garfield swings into frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just that moment, like you don't belong here. We've come to see a Marvel film. I don't like seeing other logos
Yeah.
where Marvel should be. And then it cut off like into scene without seeing the Marvel. I was like, that was really jarring.
Yeah.
It did come back a little bit later, but just not seeing the Marvel one just kind of open up
It was a bit different.
it was worse.
But yeah, anyway, then I read a couple of reviews before this came out. I skimmed them kind of from just like the small number of review sources that I really trust, and they were positive, maybe a little lukewarm. And I just loved this movie. Fucking loved it. This has taken easily my top spot for the best blockbuster of the year so far. Previously held by Fast 8.
Hey.
So it's knocked that right off. And I think it's probably my top 5 of the year entirely now. So that makes that last episode completely redundant.
Let's not talk about that last episode. Yeah, man. I thought going in, I thought the trailer showed a little too much. That main trailer, we got a lot of beats of the film, but this film had so many surprises, so many twists and turns. I loved it so much. Sony definitely did the right thing by giving Marvel all the creative control, because that was abundantly obvious when watching this film. Yeah, I mean, let's get into some non-spoiler stuff.
Do we want to start with? I reckon we just start with characters.
Yeah, let's just start with
you know,
like Tom Holland as Peter Parker.
I really, really like Tom Holland as Peter Parker. I think that there was a really good. I think he's the first person to portray it that I actually thought, yeah, this guy's actually in high school.
Yeah, because he's the right age.
Yeah. Well,
He's not 30.
more or less, yeah.
He's at least closer to the age. How old is Tom Holland?
He's 21. He could easily
Yeah.
pass for 15, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, apart from being like ridiculously ripped.
Yeah.
Which is, we were talking about this, I think, in the last episode about how superhero films, you now need to be like incredibly ripped. In order to play these characters.
He
like,
is looking. Boom.
Yeah.
Son, you got things together
Yeah.
for this.
We talked about Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men. He's not ripped. Like,
But it's
just
impressive when you see a man like, Hemsworth or let me finish. Let me
big lot
finish.
of man in your eyes.
Yeah,
It's
it's a big dude. It's like, that correlates. But Tom Holland, like, he's a small guy. He looks like a boy, and then he whips out an 8-pack.
This is getting some weird.
No, seriously. I know that sounds weird. You can do all that stuff.
I know what you mean.
But
Who's
yeah.
ever seen like a 20-year-old who looks like that?
Exactly.
In fact,
I certainly have never looked like that. So
So look, I think it was nice just seeing someone that looked like they belonged in high school, and it kind of gave a bit of a levity to the rest of the film. I kind of think back to even the love stories. The love story felt so much more innocent in this, between him and I can't think of her name,
Liz.
Liz. Well, yeah, but who played Liz?
Oh, he's squirming now.
I know.
dear.
Laura Harrier. Sorry. Wikipedia has saved me. Their interaction and their chemistry just felt a little bit more innocent, and
Even though she's 27.
even though in real life she's 27, but she could also pull off.
Yeah, she passed pretty well as well. It's just funny though.
Full of what?
Hey,
Don't be trying
don't
pass
yeah,
your
here we
sick
go.
con-
Connor,
fantasies
Connor,
onto
you
me.
sick bastard. Look, there was no tension going into this. Like, oh, is Tom Holland going to be able to do it? We all saw him in Civil War. He won over everyone,
Of course.
in like 6 minutes in that film. Like he hit every beat that Spider-Man needed to hit. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, both. He did the great power, great responsibility thing in one very small scene, and he did it fantastically. And so going into this, I was already in love with him, and am still absolutely. He's so good. He's the best overall Spider-Man we've seen
I agree.
ever.
And I love the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi
Absolutely, so do
trilogy.
I.
But I think this one got Spider-Man right.
Yep.
The Spider-Man aspect, the comedy, the physical aspects of the character, the costume, just think everything about it was absolutely brilliantly done.
Everything about Spider-Man, the balancing of his civilian and superhero lives, and the responsibility that comes with that, the sacrifice that comes with that, but also kind of the fun and adventure. It was note perfect.
I think there was such a brilliantly done element of this film was the high school aspect and him trying to just like live a normal life whilst also being Spider-Man, this duality between his life. He's getting tugged in both directions, and which one is gonna, which life does he want to lead? I really like that part of this film.
The character work in this movie was fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
that was the biggest strength. The action is almost the background stuff to that. I think
100%.
this was the story of this high school kid and his friends, and it just helps that they've cast everyone so fantastically. Even very minor roles are like so many. Oh, I know that guy from TV shows, all comedy actors, and they all bring a lot of personality to the
Eugene
film.
Flash Thompson, played by Tony Rivolori.
Was he from?
Revelori from the Grand Budapest
Yeah,
Hotel.
yeah, that's right.
Kid,
I thought it was him.
Fantastic.
That hit me like a ton of bricks, and I don't know why, but I was just like, that guy, I couldn't place him until about halfway through the film.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh,
And that's especially funny for the Flash Thompson character, who's normally this big beefcake bully guy. Like
he's a jock.
in the
normally.
original Raimi films, he was played by Joe Manganiello.
That's right.
The Magic Mike beefcake guy. So yeah, that was an interesting bit of casting as a kind of like nerdy, cool rival for Peter
Well, I was
Parker.
reading something about like that kind of came about as they wanted to reflect modern bullying, where it's not so much this kind of like jock character.
Yeah.
Some weaselly little dickhead.
Some weaselly little dickhead.
But I think
that hurts you with words.
the natural extension after talking about Spider-Man and Peter Parker in this is the high school setting and the camaraderie between his friends. I think that was so successfully done.
How have we not talked about his friend, Jacob Batalon?
Yeah, is that Ned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What great casting! What a great performance! What a fun character! They really felt like best friends.
Yeah, yeah. And this is, a classic example of like the funny fat sidekick, but he's funny and he's completely likable throughout the whole film, and he's
And
there
he's
throughout
not just the
most of it.
fat kid.
Yeah.
I felt like he had a dimension to him,
He had a lot of dimensions to him.
planetary dimensions. Like you throw a tennis ball at him, it starts to revolve around him.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Alright,
okay,
calm
okay.
down.
But yeah, it's I was very impressed. Very, very impressed.
Yeah. Look, I think he brought a lot of comedy to it, but just speaking of comedy in general, this was probably one of the funnier Marvel movies out there, I think.
Rivaling Ant-Man, definitely.
Well, this Ant-Man and I think the first Guardians have got to be comedy has always played a big part in the Marvel universe. It was really set up, I think, by Joss Whedon with the Avengers as that kind of style of comedy.
Even the first one.
Yeah, I mean,
even the first
no, you're
Iron
right.
Man.
Iron Man was so dead serious.
All right, no, but it certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't. It wasn't serious, but it wasn't. I don't think on that level of or that type of humor until Avengers that really kind of.
I don't know about that.
That might just be my personal.
Let's
opinion.
just not get into a 15-minute diversion here where we start screaming at each other and agree to disagree.
But I do agree. I think this is in the top 3 funniest Marvel films.
Absolutely,
easily.
I'd put it top 2 probably.
There was a moment about halfway through where it kind of had this meta moment where I was like, "Am I watching a comedy?"
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was so pervasive throughout the entire film, and not in a bad way. Like it didn't feel like it was overbearing or that you were losing.
I can't be watching a
momentum.
comedy. It's good.
But
Don't get many
Well,
of
no,
those.
I was
I mean,
chuckling along throughout this whole film.
Absolutely. I saw this. I went to the early session today, very quiet session. I was sitting in an area completely alone, and I was just laughing my ass off.
Yeah, same.
Like normally, a movie with a big crowd that's kind of funny will seem a lot funnier. And I saw this in a dead quiet session, and it was hilarious.
But so like it had some pretty awesome kind of comedic elements to it. But when it needed to like switch gears into badassery mode, it fucking did it really well. Like and that's a lot of that's due to just the villain in this, which is just so fucking cool. Michael Keaton as the
Vulture
is
Birdman.
I'm going to go ahead and say
chilling.
second best Marvel villain, maybe even the best,
Yeah.
bar Loki.
The
I
Red
felt
Skull.
a threat with this guy. I felt a villainous threat, and I understood where he was coming from as well. He had complexity. There's a lot of Marvel films where the villain really, you're kind of just going through the motions. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I loved Kurt Russell's character, but I ultimately knew he was going to get defeated, and we were just kind of going through the motions. But in this one, man, he felt like, I don't know, I just felt like this villainous threat, and the stakes were risen.
Well, see, actually, I'd say the exact opposite. Because one of the things I really enjoyed about the character is that I thought the stakes were actually brought down. Like this guy is not trying to destroy the world.
I'm not talking about like the scale of what he was trying to do. I'm just talking about like the stakes and the threat. Like I felt like Spider-Man was in real danger in certain parts of this film, and in a lot of Marvel films, I'm like, they'll be okay. In this one, he was battered and bruised, and
But I don't think we were ever expecting Spider-Man to die.
But do you know what I mean?
Ballsiest move.
I think you can understand what I mean. I think you can understand where I'm coming
I
from.
think he's trying not to understand.
Yeah, well, that's what he normally
No,
does.
I'm just
Connor,
saying,
further to what you're saying, I really agree. I love that this guy wasn't like a cackling maniacal villain.
Yeah.
He was an arms dealer.
Yeah.
And he was doing a job, and that gives him pretty much the best motivation out of probably any villain we've seen in the MCU. He's just a guy doing his job, and
Trying to
Spider-Man
provide
keeps
for
getting in the way, which
Yeah.
is very annoying, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, when I say that when I was disagreeing, it was more about the stakes. Like I just felt like this was a little bit more, I guess, contained.
Yeah.
It wasn't, this, as you said, the cackling villain trying to take over the world. Or
This
destroy
was
it or-
Ant-Man level,
Yeah.
or even less so.
I was gonna
because
say,
I would say even less so, yeah.
Like in terms of the scale of the actual like fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think
kind
we've
of similar
had-
to that, but that had like a world takeover plot as well. This was
Yeah.
very
I think
low.
Iron Man 1 and 2 are the only ones that I can think right off the bat that have villains where the stakes are not world ending. I mean, there's very few Marvel movies where, if you lose, the city doesn't just get destroyed.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. But I think that really worked for this film. And I'll just reiterate, loved Michael Keaton, one of the best Marvel villains at this stage.
Yeah. What did we think of the look of the film?
It was. I think the director John Watts. I'm not really sure what he's done before, but this is
very, very new kind of guy.
I mean,
Cop Car is
fuck, man.
and he's done another movie about an evil clown, but that was like not released, I think.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that actually. Now you mentioned that, but man, like he did a fantastic job with this. For a guy who I know nothing about, I really kind of got his style within the MCU. Very character driven. He really took the time to make sure the character elements were set up so that the action had stakes.
Yeah, and it feels very under control for a movie that had 6 writers. Like
6 writers.
Yeah, for someone who's like a fairly inexperienced director, that's quite
tough.
a feat. Like these things we've seen time and time again can become a big mess very quickly.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of things to juggle in this film. I mean, with any Marvel film in general, just, you know, the steps that you need to hit, or the dot points that you need to hit according to Master Feige's plan. I mean, I can't imagine if you were trying to do it with one writer, trying to organize all this shit.
Unless you're Joss Whedon's.
Yeah, but then you nearly die.
I don't think there's anyone else other than Joss Whedon that could have pulled that off, even at that early stage. Like, I mean, if you think about it, Avengers 1 now kind of looks like child's play compared to the web that they now need to weave. Like, it's crazy.
It's amping up
the amount of stuff that they need to kind of consider and integrate.
And then like following on from that, I mean, this is Spider-Man's first entry into the MCU, so we got Iron Man. He was a big part of this film.
This feels like the most kind of integrated, lived-in MCU film
definitely
yet of all of them. This just takes a lot of events from different films that have come before, and they feel very seamlessly put in part of this without being overbearing. Like everyone was worried, like, oh, there's going to be an Iron Man movie. He's really not in it very much, but has a significant role in his own way.
Yeah, and Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau's
Love
in
seeing
this.
Happy Hogan again.
He was fantastic. I'm so glad things are patched up with them, with him and Marvel, because, you know, he directed Iron Man 1 and 2, and things went a bit sour because I think they really manhandled his directorial abilities and what he could do on Iron Man 2. So it's really nice to see him back in here, and what a fun character. Awesome.
Yeah. Was there anything about the film that you didn't like?
So you were just mentioning the look of it before.
Yeah.
I will say it still had that kind of CGI sheen on the action scenes.
When he's moving around.
Yeah, and like, it's always about these kind of more modern films, there's always dust clouds, and they always look the same. It always looks very CGI, you know?
Yeah, the brown.
You look at like the Tobey Maguire movies, the first couple at least, and they're very tactile. Even just the web swing and everything, because they did all that stuff for real. So it looks fantastic. This movie, I didn't think it looked bad. I think it looked great when it was just dialogue scenes or whatever. But yeah, there was definitely that CGI, but to a much lesser extent than with Guardians of the Galaxy, which really just bothers me more and more as the year goes on. But yeah, just a minor thing.
Yeah, no, that's probably the one thing that I was going to bring up, and I'm glad you did instead of me, because I don't want to be the guy that always just harps on about the special effects in films. But yeah, I feel like
they weren't bad.
Oh no!
No, the special effects were fantastic. There was just a lot of them, and
I think there was one shot of Vulture, and the lighting effect that they got rebounding off his armor. It looked absolutely brilliant. So I'm definitely not with you guys on this one. I think the Spider-Man CG looked awesome. Oftentimes when they go to those CG shots, they can look just like Daredevil from 2002 or whatever. They can just look so bad.
Yeah, no.
Even that that new Black Panther trailer when he's spinning around, like even then I'm like, oh, I like it, but it's not.
There was a bit of that in this.
I don't think so.
There definitely was.
It's not that I thought it looked bad at any point. It's just there'd be a shot and I'd be like, there's a lot of CGI there.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that could have been a set.
Do you know what?
Something else.
It didn't bother me at all because I was that invested in the characters.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I just know that they can do better, because I think something like Ant-Man looks
Ant-Man
much more flawless. Like CGI wise, I think somehow for whatever reason they did an amazing job on that one, and there was nothing I could pick out in that one where I'd be like, oh, So yeah. Anyway,
my complaint with the film was really only one character, which was, and it's such a minor grievance. I can't even really believe I'm bringing it up, as the Michelle character, which we'll talk a little bit more about in spoilers, but she was the friend. She was the awkward friend with the hammed-in comedy and the bantery comedy. And
Did you not like that?
Nah, I really didn't.
Yeah.
I really didn't like. I think that was the weakest humor in this,
Really?
by far. And I was like,
You're talking about Zendaya?
Yeah, I loved that.
Really?
Yeah, I really
expected.
liked her in this show.
really
I
didn't
thought
dig
she
it
was
at all.
fantastic.
She was barely there. She was barely in
That's
this
what I
movie.
mean. I mean, it's a minor nitpick.
But I kind
I
of
just didn't think any of those jokes landed.
I kind of liked the fact that she wasn't. She just seemed like this very strange, kind of to the side character that didn't have. She certainly didn't have what I'd call relevance, I guess, in the film. But every time she showed up and she made a little joke, I loved it. I was totally on board with that style of humor.
Yeah, it did nothing for me. Like they would have a conversation, they would turn to her, and she would be like, "Say the quirky little funny weird thing."
I loved it.
See, I thought it was completely in tone with the rest of the comedy in the entire film. So you
Yeah.
liked everything else but her.
Yeah,
That's I find that incredibly strange because
George, is it true that you hate women?
no,
I'm kidding.
no. I love my mom.
Why did you just say it?
Yeah, I mean the score was great as well. Michael
Love the score.
Giacchino. Benny, you just mentioned this. This is his first film with Marvel. Michael Giacchino is
MCU,
he's a prolific director. I mean, he did Rogue One. He's done
Star Trek,
all
new
the Star
ones.
Trek. I've just got his profile up here. Incredibles.
Does everything J.J. Abrams. He came
he's
to
a JJ.
He kind of first came into the spotlight through Lost, which his stuff is amazing for whatever you
he's
think of Lost.
the Bad Robot
His
Crew.
score, yeah. It's really funny because when I heard it was his first MCU film, I was like, really? And I was kind of going back through my head. I'm like, didn't he do it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because I think his style of composing is very
John Williams?
permeated through Hollywood. I
Mm.
think he's got a very just modern Hollywood style. And I don't necessarily know if he's carved out his own niche as per se or a sound. But in saying that, I was humming this theme after the film, and I never do that in Marvel. And I always criticize Marvel for their pretty weak scores, but da, 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 da.
had it in my head all day.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely spot on. Well done.
Yeah, it's not the Danny Elfman theme. I don't think it comes anywhere near as close to that, but that's something from my childhood that it's just not going to happen. But it's great.
I feel kind of bad because watching this, I enjoyed the theme, but I feel like I've had my standards preemptively risen by Black Panther. Like I just expect that movie to be so fucking on point with music that when I was listening to this, I was like, oh, it's not Black Panther, is it?
Yeah, but Black Panther has room for movement.
Oh, it could be anything at
it
this
could be
point. I'm just
anything, yeah.
assuming it's going to be fantastic,
Yeah.
and I've just risen my bar for
Yeah.
every other Marvel film to be at that level.
Speaking of the music, Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones is featured quite heavily in this film. That just worked on a very special level for me because that song was from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack. One of the original ones of those. And you could play Spider-Man in that game because it was the same developer that made...
Is that number 2?
I think it was
Activision,
2,
yeah.
And the same company made the Spider-Man games, the old PlayStation ones, which I love.
That had such a killer soundtrack, man.
Yes.
Millen, Bling.
Yeah. But anyway, so just like seeing Spider-Man to Blitzkrieg Bop, I'm like, this is kind of perfect. It really takes me back.
Should we move on to spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, as a wrap up for me, this is definitely one of the best films this year. I mean, this week I've seen Okja, Baby Driver, and Spider-Man. I'm like, what?
Good work.
This is brilliant. I am so glad Spider-Man Homecoming worked out because the Sony thing could have really backfired on them, and thankfully it hasn't. Bring on Spider-Man 2. I'm really excited.
Yeah, they really could have poisoned the well, but and we'll still see. They've got Venom coming and
Which may
Silver
or may not
Sable
be
bring
part
that
of
up.
the MCU.
oh god. But yeah, this movie on its own, I loved. There's probably a couple Marvel movies in the future I would like cancel if I could get a couple more Spider-Man ones in there. Because I think there's just this movie's so dense with Spider-Man lore and characters that you could almost have like a weekly TV show out of it.
Oh my God.
Which I would love to see. But
We didn't talk about Donald Glover.
we will. Oh, we will.
Oh yeah. For anyone,
And
before we get to spoilers, he's amazing. Go see it.
And also, we
So
didn't talk
amazing.
about Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, but you
They're both amazing.
you finish your
You've seen Marissa Tomei before. You know she's amazing. I mean, I was cut off there, so I don't really know what I was going to say. No, I'm just kidding. I can't recommend this movie highly enough. Unless you don't like Spider-Man, which a lot of people seem to not.
Unless you're really sad, unhappy.
I mean, if you hated the last 3 Spider-Man movies, which a lot of people did, this one will restore your faith. I promise. It's really fun.
Believe.
For me, it's such a solid film. I can't really fault it. I highly suggest everyone go see it.
I can't wait to see it again already.
Oh yeah, and as I've said before, I really gauge a film kind of by how excited I am to rewatch it afterwards. And this is...
I could have gone straight back in and watched it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's get into some spoilers.
There's a lot to cover here.
There's a lot to talk about.
Can I just mention a scene right off the bat? Probably the funniest scene I have seen in a very long time is of Spider-Man running across a golf course. Just yelling, "This sucks."
That was so good.
I loved how they addressed the fact that Spider-Man can just not magically swing wherever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. It was fun seeing him in the suburbs. It was really good.
And the visual of him like flicking, like he bursts through the trees and he lands and he goes, shoots his web up and it just goes when he's on the golf course. That scene was really well,
For anyone listening,
cinematography was
a
really
lot of,
well put
hand
together.
Movement that George did that would have made that made a lot more sense at that point.
But it was, I totally agree. I love that scene.
All right, let's front load this with the big twist of the film, which amazingly Sony didn't spoil in the many, many trailers.
Oh my God.
Michael Keaton, the Vulture, is Pete's love interest's father.
Crazy.
That
Did you guys see that?
No,
I
God,
did
that
not see
completely blindsided me.
That honestly hit me like a ton of bricks. Like,
Yeah, so he's going to pick her up
man.
for the homecoming dance, and he's knocking on the door, and I'm like, man, I know it's not going to go great, but I just want it to because this is so sweet, and I just want it to be happy, and I expect her to open the door, and the door opens, and the fucking Vulture is standing there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was like, this
feeling when he was walking up to that, because something about the way that the scene was set up, or maybe
This is Spider-Man,
the music,
you know it's going to go terribly.
because at that point in the film, Tony Stark had taken his uniform back, or his costume, whatever, and he was trying to get back into
Peter
normal
Parker
life.
yeah.
Peter Parker life, like start excelling at school, go to the homecoming dance, and that's where everything changed. And what a brilliant twist. I was just like,
reveal.
holy shit. Actually, when it was first happening, I thought he had found out about the love interest and then had like kidnapped the family.
Oh God.
And he was going to walk her through.
Yeah.
Walk Peter Parker through to the house and be like, this is your girl.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank
that
God
kind of,
didn't happen.
I thought
That would've
that's
been lame
but-
as shit.
Yeah. But they didn't go down that.
Yeah.
And that whole scene in the car, like the tension.
So it's very, very, I think, derivative of the dinner scene in the first Spider-Man film with Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn. And then like he doesn't
Figuring
know
it
about
out.
Peter, but he's met like Goblin has met Spider. But that wasn't a twist in that film. We kind of knew the dynamics there at play. So this was just so well handled and such a surprise. This a lot of people hate Iron Man 3 mostly because of the twist, but I think that was the best twist in 10 years in blockbuster film, and I think they've done it again with this one. I was so surprised by
which twist in Iron Man 3?
The Mandarin was just some drunk
he was
actor.
just he was just Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
But
the reveal, when when he goes to
I love
his
that.
place,
And
so
all the
fucking
Marvel
funny.
fanboys like just got so butthurt, which made it even better for me.
Yeah.
George, you are a Marvel fanboy.
I'm a Marvel fanboy. I'm an MCU fanboy. I'm not a comic book. I'm not a...
We're not fanboys. We're just joking about that because people level that at people all the time. We like the movies because they're good. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
When they make a bad one, I'll call them out on it.
And we
haven't done it yet.
Well, we've done it with our TV shows, at least.
I love... But continuing that, like the car scene and Michael Keaton,
I love
he's
how
a
he just
little
figures
bit
it out.
suspect.
Yeah.
Like, why is Peter Parker looking at me weird? And he's figuring it out. And then Liz is like dropping these things about Washington and he's connecting the dots.
She's just digging his grave. I love
Connecting
that
the dots. And then they hit that red light and the lighting
On
on
his
Michael
face,
Keaton's
yeah.
face.
It's a very good scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then it goes green and it's like the light bulb goes off. It fits in with the Vulture Brilliant. Well done. Well done, John Watts.
I'm always really impressed when a director is able to construct a scene that says more than you're being told, really showing rather than telling. And, you touched on it right there, the lighting, kind of the close up on Michael Keaton's face, just this kind of like slow realization as you see him figuring it out is a very cool scene. And that's when I feel like you were talking about him feeling like a dangerous person. That's where I got a little bit of that. Like you're saying, that's where I felt that tension and that kind of real...
Definitely.
But I also loved at the same time that he wasn't, as I said before, like this crazy evil guy. Like
he's not evil.
He kills one person in the film and it was an accident.
Yeah.
And, he like threatens Peter a lot, but you don't really get the sense that he's going to like rip his head off or
he
anything.
lets him go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was interesting, and it had added complexity to it. It wasn't a conventional kind of thing to happen. Like normally the villain that wouldn't happen. Like Peter Parker would escape normally.
And then we get the tag at the end with the Vulture still alive, and he knows who Peter Parker is, and they're kind of teasing that out a bit. But he doesn't tell the Scorpion, who's also in this film, which I think is really cool. I'm very keen to see the Scorpion finally on the big screen.
Yeah,
I think we haven't seen him, man. He's a cool one. He's been around since the fucking 60s. Better than Rhino.
There's a lot of characters that we haven't seen on the. I still remember watching the Spider-Man TV show, animated TV show, way back in the day, and being scared shitless of what's the vampire character's name?
Morbius the Living Vampire.
Morbius the Living Vampire.
Yeah,
that episode proper freaked me out. I remember being like a very young kid.
The Amazing Spider-Man, like the TV show.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Okay,
fucking
so
awesome.
Hold on. Speaking of villains, this is my favorite thing about this movie is everyone's always complaining about too many villains in movies, and that's because of Spider-Man 3. Because Sony has all these movies with too many villains. Amazing Spider-Man 2, bunch of villains, and Marvel Studios was just like, now we're going to put like twice that many villains in there, and we're still going to make a great film. And they fucking did it.
They did.
This movie has 2 Shockers, the Tinkerer, the Vulture, the Scorpion. I think it's more in there.
Shocker was fantastic.
Which one? You got Logan Marshall Green and Bokeem Woodbine.
Bokeem Woodbine.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Logan Marshall Green got just vaporized. Boom.
I thought
After
he was
Prometheus, like this is his first time he's kind of like come back since Prometheus.
And he got
it's like boom,
immolated again.
Dead. But yeah, I loved Shocker. I loved his glove. The way they conduct frame those scenes, the stunts. Yeah, like it was visceral. It was powerful, and Spider-Man goes flying when he gets hit.
That was really cool. There, I was a little bummed we didn't get to see like a proper Shocker outfit, but they kind of hinted at it. It was fine. I really liked all the alien tech in this film, and I like how they kind of wove it in with all previous Marvel films. Like it's just from the fallout of them.
I mean, this film opens with set
Battle of New York.
Battle of New York,
and that is a very interesting point. So finish your point, and then I want to go on from there.
Well, I was just going to say that was an interesting point. So this film jumps around a lot, and then the scene after that is kind of like
Civil
the
War.
vlog, Peter Parker's day in the life vlog for Civil War, and that was really fun. And those were two kind of like you're seeing in parallel timelines run with stuff that's happened in previous films.
Anyway, so Reddit is aflutter at the moment because this film opens on the Battle of New York from the Avengers.
Yep.
The film released in 2012.
And it says 8.
8 years later.
I was wigged out by that.
Yeah, that really threw me off.
So does that mean that in Spider-Man Homecoming it's 2020?
Well, nothing lines up. This is like a huge continuity potential problem in the MCU because from whatever angle you look at it, there's an issue. Apparently, there's like an official MCU timeline that maybe states the Battle of New York was in 2009, that those first kind of 4 or so MCU movies took place over 6 months.
Right.
But then there's a lot of problems when Marvel TV comes into it.
Yeah.
Because like every season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sort of has a tie-in with the movie of that year, and that show is just kind of year to year in real time.
I can't help but feel like there's certainly there'd be someone at Disney or someone at Marvel that has a timeline.
Well, that's the thing.
That'd be able to answer
I'm
this
pretty
shit.
sure his name is Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Or even
And he
Feige,
writes it himself in his own blood.
Either way, there's got to be someone that that they know what they're doing when it comes
I have
to like
no doubt about it, unless everything before the Marvel logo at the beginning of this film was done by Sony. Like that was their contribution to the film.
Can you imagine?
That just came to me. So they were just like, just say it is, it's fine.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sure there's a very good explanation for it that doesn't make any sense, but we don't have it yet. And I just thought that was really interesting.
I was really thrown off by that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, did Avengers come out in 2010
Yeah.
or 2012? I'm pretty sure it's 2012. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure it's 2012.
Yeah.
So there'll obviously be some kind of follow-on from this because, I mean, we saw Guardians of the Galaxy. There was a timeline thing with that. 32 years later or whatever it was.
I'll be perfectly honest. I couldn't give two fucks about that.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, like it didn't. It didn't. I've never thought it was integral to enjoying the films.
Yeah, no, absolutely
definitely.
But I just love
that extra layer.
the minutia of the
Yeah.
MCU because that's kind
Well,
of
it's fascinating
that's kind of the
hearing
big
about
appeal
it.
of it. That it's this whole big
Yeah.
this web. But so
don't get me wrong,
anytime a
I'm-
date or a time kind of comes up on screen, I said this
Yeah.
in the Guardians one, I latch right onto it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoy watching other people like go on about this. I think
Yeah.
they're really cool little tidbits into the movie and all that. But yeah, just it didn't really throw me or anything like that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
but speaking of the Battle of New York, this movie features damage control very heavily. Did you guys get a sense at all watching this film what damage control is?
I wasn't sure. Like it felt like an ominous corporation or something. Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's gonna It's one of those things where I feel like if I was someone that was really into the comics and I'd know what the fuck this is about.
yeah, exactly.
But
I mean, there was a
I
lot of
don't,
drops
so-
in this. They talk about the Sokovia Accord at one point in class. But yeah, the damage control bit was the bit at the beginning with Tony Stark on the TV.
The
Are you
organization
about to
shows
tell
up
us
and
what
says,
damage control is?
No, I just thought I'd bring it up for no reason. Yeah, absolutely. No, because,
Yeah, I don't know
because
anything.
It's sort of a project that Marvel, has,
Mario.
it's getting late, has trying to turn into something for a little while now. They ordered a pilot a couple of years ago, I think, for a TV show.
Oh.
So the idea behind damage control is they're kind of a construction organization that comes in and cleans up after superheroes. So I think they were looking at doing kind of sort of a lighthearted take on, just the fallout after all of these massive battles and stuff.
Can I just say that's kind of spectacular because if
It's
you
a pretty
think about-
novel idea, isn't
Well,
it?
not only a novel idea, but if you think about the way that they're approaching a shared universe now, in that they have actually spent time thinking about what are the consequences of we've got like all these superheroes going around, destroying shit. Like they were talking about, at the beginning of this film, they were talking about contracts being awarded to certain entities to clean up after superheroes. It adds, I guess, a richness to the world that
Yeah, makes it feel real.
oh
But damage control is obviously from the comics, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's, the comics have been around for so long that they get,
it's so
self-referential and
convoluted.
meta and stuff. And
So
you start getting
convoluted.
these interesting ideas about what would actually, in a world with superheroes in it, be like. And it's cool to see the films catching up with that.
Yeah.
But it seems like they really want to move ahead with something damage control related because it was in this film several times.
Yeah.
Well, they were a major part of it. They were an entity in this film that kind of was important. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but I just wanted to kind of really highlight something that I thought this movie did really well, which was everything up until the point where Peter Parker loses the suit is. I hesitate to say standard, but it is a relatively standard hero film.
Really? I would say it turns into more of a standard film. I'd say the first half is really different.
I would
Well,
say
it's
the
not
middle
that
is
different.
standard and the ends are way out there.
All right. Well, let's be honest.
Everyone gets opinions.
This
here.
it's not the most original thing.
We don't
since
beat
sliced
anyone
bread.
after the show, do we, Connor?
It's not. It's not wildly different than any other kind of superhero film out there. But what my I guess my point is that the kind of tone and the direction of the film felt pretty standard up until there. What I really loved is from that point on, you get this really big disconnect of going from someone who has gained the kind of confidence and power and really bringing them back down and watching them navigate Peter Parker into this going back to everyday life. I thought just the placement of that in the film was a really cool
Very well
tonal
executed.
change, I guess is probably the best way to put it. I mean, oftentimes when you think about this kind of film, I would expect there to be a bit of a ramp up, as opposed to this kind of like sudden drop, I guess 3/4 of the way through the film.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that.
Speaking of tone changes, that scene of him under the rubble was straight up harrowing.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. That was a 15-year-old kid dying.
Yeah.
And he was terrified. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like almost too much because Tom Holland is selling it so hard.
I was like,
It was intense.
they have like, I was kind of like wondering, like, is this a joke? Like, did they just kind of like film this?
It was
It just
Did they
doesn't
film this for real?
Yeah,
Did they
like,
drop a
it
set
doesn't
on Tom Holland?
seem like it belongs in this film.
Help!
Yeah, no.
But there was a number of parts where he was swinging around, and the ADR, like the sounds he was making, the screams, felt a lot more out of control than they normally are. And I think that kind of goes like he was screaming, trying
character
to get out of that.
control, or like technically out of control.
Like his voice sounded like it was
Okay,
out
yeah.
of, like he wasn't like he was like
He was
ah,
Actually screaming.
yeah.
But I bring up that scene in particular because that is a hugely iconic moment from the comics. Amazing Spider-Man number 33, I think it is, where there's a whole issue where he's kind of like trapped under this rubble and he has to kind of find the strength to lift himself out. And it was really cool to see something iconic from the comics like that tackled and put on the big screen because it's only been done a handful of times in these films.
But
Yeah.
Marvel is, when they do it, they're very
various-
good at it.
Yeah.
And
Like,
great
they-
visual motif.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was speaking specifically of Spider-Man films because I think each one of them has something very iconographic from the comics. But yeah, certainly the Marvel MCU films, they really don't do that much at all.
Well, there's the thing that jumps out to me is
Civil
obviously
War.
Civil War.
Yeah, so yeah, I love it when they do little nods like that.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I feel like there's so much to talk about this film, but at the same time, there isn't. Because
No,
it's
I've got
just
more.
like, do you have, because I was just going to say, like,
I've got a whole list here.
at the end of the day, I'm just like, I really love this film. Go
Yeah.
watch this film.
I love the suit. Can we talk about the
Yeah,
suit
that's
at all?
the next thing I was going to bring up, the Stark Tech suit.
Wow.
Huge change. Huge
change,
from the
worked
comics and from the other
perfectly.
movies. Yeah, it was very cool.
Brilliantly executed.
I love the design. I love the look of it. That's from
Yep.
Civil War, obviously, but I think it is spot on. I think the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit was the best we'd ever seen. I think this blows it out of the water. I'm so in
Same.
love with it now.
It's so much more. It has so much more personality with the eyes, the way the eyes move.
I mean, that's the big obvious thing.
Yeah, and that I remember when that first Civil War trailer dropped, and
Yeah.
he did the spin, the underoos, and then his eyes.
squint.
They didn't nail it there.
Yeah.
The CG was still
See,
being tweaked,
the
and
second I
they
saw that-
nailed it in this.
the second I first saw that, it was like lightning
Light
bolt.
bulb,
I'm like,
yeah.
how have they
Yeah.
not done this before in
Yeah.
a movie? That's so obvious because in the comics, his eyes are always going up and down, and it was like, yeah, just make it a part of the suit.
And
Brilliant.
it made sense because it was a technical part of the suit because this suit could zoom or he could see. They were like,
They're blinders,
yeah,
like a horse.
I loved everything in the suit. Loved the scene where his Jarvis, Karen, was it?
Jennifer Connelly?
Was it Jennifer
Yeah, who-
Colony?
Connolly, who is no, hold on, who is Paul Bettany's wife?
Oh,
So they
really?
got Jarvis's wife
Wow,
to
that's
play
cool.
his Jarvis.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
And really fun scene.
Yeah, like the instant kill
Yeah,
mode. That's
yeah.
like my favorite running
Yeah.
game. I think when his eyes go a little red.
yeah.
Fucking brilliant. And yeah, he's got all these new web capabilities
Yeah.
that he has no idea how to
Like
use.
500
Yeah,
different web options, I guess.
Yeah, like that was very tantalizing, I
Yeah.
think, for future films.
So we had a conversation about this, it might have been the movie MMA or something, just about the decision to go with natural webbing or artificial webbing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
That old chestnut.
You guys were very much of natural webbing is better. I really enjoyed the idea of him creating the webbing. Where did you land on this?
It's a little different in this film because they've already gotten the origin out of the way.
Yeah.
So very much in that discussion, I was saying it's much more economical, and there's a narrative flow to him just developing powers, and he's got powers.
Yeah.
So I'm still organic webbing all the way. I think that was a brilliant decision for those films. But I like everything about what they've done in this one. That being said, I didn't like. It's not that I disliked the filmmaking, but when he didn't have his web shooters in that one scene with the shocker, I didn't like seeing that. I'm like, I don't like Spider-Man without his webs. Like, it made me uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
Well, and I thought that was
But,
really
it was good- it
clever
was
that
good
they
tension,
did that
yeah.
because you do get that uneasy feeling. You're like, I don't feel like you have, and I kind of struggled with for a moment. It's like, is this a good kind of uncomfortable or is it a bad kind of uncomfortable? I kind of ultimately went with good because I just thought it raised the stakes a little bit.
I think organic for the Raimi films was brilliant. But in this tech-based MCU world, how would the organic web shooter work within the kind of confines that they've set up, the sandbox that they've set up? It
sure they
wouldn't
could have
work.
made it
It
work.
would work fine.
Yeah, they could have
No.
made it work.
They've got Thor on the team.
Yeah, Thor's
It doesn't
otherworldly. It's
Oh my God.
like which Earth-based hero has anything related, semi comparable to organic web shooters?
Quicksilver, like, he's got superpowers. He's just a human. He's got like magical superpowers.
There's the Scarlet
It's fine.
Witch that
Doesn't matter.
literally like
It has
eats
magic.
red lightning.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be honest.
And if
I
you
don't
get the
think,
TV, holy crap, there is just a million different weird mutations.
yeah, I don't think that natural web shooters would have been like,
Fuck you.
no, I just like, look, I'm,
All right,
I'm still,
fine,
I'm s-
fine.
I'm
No,
still
it
on
works
the-
great with him as, Stark's kind of protege thing.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
it works.
yeah.
I've always liked the idea that he's invented this web shooter, and it kind of really plays on the fact that he is super smart, and that he got some powers, and then he was like, you know what, I'm going to build on this and kind of really fill out the whole Spider-Man mythos type thing.
And on that note, I can see why a lot of people are going to take issue with the fact that everything in his suit, except for the web shooters, because they had the throwaway line in Civil War, was made by Stark. I think people are going to be bothered by that. I think people are not going to like this suit, certain corners of the internet. But I loved it.
Yeah.
If you
And
don't
I
like
like-
this suit, leave.
And I like that they stripped him of it, though. I thought it was really cool, but I like that in the end he just had to be his
Yeah.
own Spider-Man.
I liked
Yeah.
his goggles at the end. I thought that looked rad.
I
It's
was
like,
all right.
ditch the Stark
So
suit.
I wanted to ask how freaked out you got when you saw the new suit in this one.
at the end.
At
Yeah.
the end, where he's like going to be
And
inducted
his
to Adventures,
gold.
and
Yeah.
you're looking at it and you're going, "Oh my god, is that what he's going to be wearing in the
I
next
know,
one?"
I know. I was because I was so into this film. I was like, "Oh, cool!" But he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"No, I don't want it." I was like, "Yes, go Spidey!"
I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
I would be cool with that suit making a very brief
Yeah,
appearance.
I thought it looked really cool, but I love this
Yeah.
current suit. It's so classic.
Yeah. Like just as a kind of an aside, like if he had to do one little mission in a film and he wore that suit,
Yeah.
sweet. But apart from that, I never want to see that suit again.
Yeah, but once the scene played out, that suit made sense within what the scene was trying to convey, and
Completely.
it was just fantastic.
Another thing about the suit that this movie kicks the absolute asses out of every other Spider-Man movie, especially the Garfield ones.
Except
is-
the basketball suit. Eh.
No.
I'm looking at a picture of all the different suits right now. This is
I mean,
amazing.
about the suit, something about it that destroys the other films is that he keeps the mask on at virtually all times, which the Garfield movies were especially guilty of doing. Anything would happen, he'd rip that thing off. Like there were action scenes where he'd be fighting human people and he would just not be wearing it.
I remember.
So yeah, like in this, there are scenes where he's alone and he's still wearing it, which I thought was so cool. Like the urge to take that off for the filmmakers would have been so huge.
Yeah.
So they were really paying attention to the kind of complaints about the previous films. Like there's that scene where he's sitting on the rooftop, he's got it half up, which is like an
that was
iconic
cool.
look for
Yeah, I like
Spider-Man.
that.
That's how he looks in the comics. He has it half up.
Yeah.
Because he's not just taking the whole thing. He's a fucking superhero, and he's like the only one in the MCU with a secret identity. So keep it. You know?
Yeah.
Which is, I thought it was really ballsy to go in the first Spider-Man film, have the villain discover who he is, because you're like, Jesus, isn't this shit meant to start leaking out and like,
And to have the villain
Way later.
survive.
yeah, well, and that's the thing, because as soon as he figured out who Peter Parker was, in my head I was like, oh, he's dead. There's no way that they'll allow him to live. But at the same, it's
And it's extra
running
weighty
it through
because
my head at the moment.
it's extra weighty because there's already so many other villains in this Spider-Man universe already. You know.
Oh yeah.
So it
I'm
feels
glad
like you
they
could
kept
already
him
make a
around,
Sinister
man.
Six. Yeah.
I'm so glad.
So here's I haven't the slightest clue, but are all these villains owned by Sony as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Another just related to that final scene, Pepper Potts is back.
I was so happy to
That was
see
cool.
that was like they're back together.
Yeah.
They're happy. They're probably getting married.
Yeah.
I was like I really liked that character element for Tony Stark in Civil War. I thought that was really cool and really sad after all these films. But I'm so happy that they've kind of brought it back around again. And it makes so much sense. That was kind of a dour film, and this is much more happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking
I
brilliant.
was curious. Was that a story decision for Civil War, or was that the fact that I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow wasn't offered enough money?
Yeah, I'm pretty
100%
sure.
both, because you may have noticed she got like top billing in this film.
Did she really?
Her name was like, there was like Tom Holland, there was like Tom Holland
Are
and
you serious?
Robert Downey Jr. and I think maybe Jon Favreau, and then her. And then there was like Zendaya and everyone else.
That is
Wow.
silly.
Which,
What the hell?
fair enough. I mean, she's got pull, man. She's
Yeah, but
they would have paid her a
still,
lot
like,
of money to
I
be in
definitely
this.
did not see this film for Gwyneth Paltrow.
And I like that they did it. I mean, Civil War was probably them flexing their muscles a little, like we don't need you, so they probably bargained her down a little with that.
Yeah.
But I think it was just nice to see everyone back.
It was.
again.
It was really nice to see her. I've always liked the character. I've always liked how she's
like
kind
them
of
together.
been the
Sensible one?
Yeah, the sensible one.
That's
for
what made it the
Tony Scott.
perfect ending to this film. This whole movie where Tony Stark is talking down to Tom Holland, like being the adult, but then right at the end, he looks like an idiot, and
Yeah.
she comes in and being like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you fucking boys!" Brilliant cap to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Ben, do you have I feel like you have like a list
Okay,
of other things that
I
you
do
want to
have more
mention.
things, and
All right, let's get.
I feel like we capped it off there. But I also
No, not at all.
I liked Kenneth Choi played the high school principal.
Yeah. What's he in? He's in Wolf of Wall Street, right?
No, he is, but I'll tell you what else he's in. He's in Captain America: The First Avenger. He's one of the Howling Commandos. And
That's right.
Oh my God, you're right.
I swear to God, I thought he had been in the Marvel film.
He was, yeah. And they had the photo of his grandfather. I think they've said it is up on his
Oh,
next to his
really?
desk there. Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
they've got him
cool.
playing
I like
the
that.
yeah. I really like that.
There was also I can't think of his name. The guy from Silicon Valley,
Martin Starr. Yeah.
who plays Guilfoyle in Silicon Valley. I thought he was great.
Yeah. He
Was
was
he
really
the
funny.
teacher?
He's-
He was the
he was fun.
His comment about we don't want to lose a student again.
Again.
I think that was so great.
yeah. And then Hannibal Buress as well as the gym teacher. He was
Oh,
not in this
yeah.
very much, but I fucking love Hannibal Buress.
He
so-
is so funny.
Yeah, he's the most
so
hilarious guy.
funny.
We mentioned, I think, on the last news episode that he sent a double to the premiere of this film. He paid some guy $500 to go.
good.
Oh shit! What was I going to say?
Donald Glover was also I loved his scene in this.
Yeah, with that cheeky little man. I got a nephew around here.
Yeah.
So Miles Morales is confirmed in the MCU.
Yeah. But he seemed like just Donald Glover. Not for better or worse.
He was Donald Glover with one squinty eye.
Yeah, I thought he was fairly a thug version of
Ooh.
Donald Glover.
And I love the interrogation voice on the.
Yeah.
On the
Oh,
spider
that was
suit.
so
funny.
funny.
It's like the Ed 209.
Yeah.
And then he webs him up and just leaves him. It's like, you'll be free in 2 hours. You deserve it. You're a criminal. So into it. And Captain America's in this film. He has a few
Yes.
scenes in it.
Good
I loved-
tag. Great
did you-
tag.
They
Did
were
you
very
feel
fun.
like those were overplayed at all?
No, I thought
'Cause
that
it
was
a running
really
gag.
fun. Yeah, but I loved how just dorky they made him.
Yeah.
Because he had kind of the last word in Civil War where he was the good guy and Robert Downey Jr. was the bad guy, and in this one he's just a dickhead. and Tony Stark's kind
They
of cool
brought back
again.
his costume from
Avengers, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the last few Captain Americas, he's had a lot more of a cooler blue,
Oh, hell yeah,
navies,
yeah.
Well, they have-
grays, and this
cooler
one
in
he has the poppy, the
Which is
classic.
perfect because that feels like when Shield
Yeah.
was still around,
Yeah.
he was shooting some
I
shit for
feel
them.
like Marvel has done such a good job cultivating his character, just
Oh,
in the
yeah.
sense of when I've watched
We could do a whole episode on that.
that and the first Captain America as well as Avengers, I was like, they're never going to be able to make this character other than dorky fucking Captain America, and they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, Winter Soldier and Civil War just had this solidifying effect that he is a fucking badass.
And I like the take in this one. It was a little bit of a different take.
Well, it was a throwback.
Yeah, it was a
to-
throwback,
to-
exactly.
And I don't know if you have any more on your list, but the end scene in
the
this
end tag. Yeah, we can end
is
on this, I think. But this is my
fantastic.
favorite tag for a Marvel movie ever.
Oh,
It was a good tag.
So
good.
funny. I really want to go see this movie with a big crowded audience because
Yeah.
there's about 10 minutes of credits, and then Captain America pops up at the end, extolling the virtues of patience.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate
It was
fuck you,
so
and I
good.
thought that was
It was so good.
It's like I said with how comics book were around and then they started getting meta and self-referential. Now that Marvel movies are getting that way, they're referencing their own tags with
Yeah.
time-wasting tags. I love it.
I don't think we've said anything bad about this other than me talking about MJ.
MJ,
We can go ahead and say that.
Let's be honest, it wasn't really a valid complaint. It was a bit silly.
I mean, I had to say something, right? I was going to bitch out like you guys.
And there was obviously.
Oh no, you
we
said CG. Sorry,
We said CGI, yeah.
We said
I
CG.
withdraw that comment,
Okay,
gentlemen.
good.
That's fine.
So she's MJ. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, there was that reveal
That's a thing.
at the end. I actually liked that because.
No, you can't like it. They've changed her race.
Whoa!
This was like a huge thing.
Racist.
Well,
I
not
did
huge,
notice
get
that. Like at the
overblown
time,
on
I
the
was
internet.
like, she certainly is not portrayed as traditionally beautiful.
And we're not
in
even
this.
gonna. Oh, yeah.
Um,
She just looked like a kid, which is cool.
Yeah, and then obviously it did kind of. It was in the back of my mind. It was there that she obviously wasn't this like pasty white redhead, and I was like, I like that. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like it. Maybe white guilt, probably. I don't know.
This movie is very multiracial.
Yeah.
It is
Like extremely. Like Pete's like the only
It's a modern
white kid
movie.
in his whole
It's
group. Yeah.
got its finger on the pulse. It knows what people of like our age and younger are exposed to.
Yeah, but it's not enough to say.
Exposed to.
It's not enough to just say it's. Yeah.
people of other
Not
cultures.
like day to day life.
live
We're
with
just
Yeah.
letting them around all over the place now.
But to say it's a
Fucking
modern
hell.
movie would imply that other movies are kind of hitting this level, which they're not. Like Disney's
Yeah.
kind of pushing ahead with kind of their Star Wars movies and with now the Marvel movies, but this seems like a big step forward.
Yeah,
in that
I
way,
think so
which
as
is
well.
I do
really
like
nice
it
to
that I mean, if you think about it, the two largest franchises in the world right now, Marvel and Star Wars, are really kind of bounds ahead of everyone else in terms of casting in major roles. People other than like white middle-aged dudes.
Oh,
They are
I mean,
bounds
go
ahead.
watch Civil War. Go watch the airport scene again, and then come back to me.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, all right,
they're bounds ahead of other
Marvel-
people. They are taking baby steps, but it's good that someone is
Yes.
at least.
And with Marvel, because it's basing it off existing characters and
That's who cares.
yeah,
I mean, all the existing characters in this,
Yeah,
had
MJ.
race changes. A lot of people in
No,
Thor and the other
no,
movies, and who gives a shit? We know who gives a shit, and they suck. Shut the fuck up if you're any of those
Yeah,
people.
shut
Just
the fuck up and leave this podcast.
Never type anything into a computer screen again.
Keyboard warrior.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to finish on one last thing. I think the Aunt May character was really fun, and her relationship with Peter. I loved how she kind of coached him through like getting ready for the homecoming dance. I really loved that scene. I love the running gag. Your hot Aunt May.
It is so confusing having a sexy as fuck Aunt May. Like, I don't know what to make of that. But she was great. If anything, she wasn't in this enough, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But I loved the ending where
Last
she
scene?
finds out his secret identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that really, I think, calls back to like Robert Downey Jr. announcing himself as Iron Man in the first one, just kind of ending on that.
Yeah.
What the
That's really cool. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, fantastic film. Go see it.
I thought it was a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah, all right.
I could talk about this movie for another 3 hours.
Yeah,
guys.
same. I think it's time for us to get some shut eye though.
Dude, it's like 1:30 in the morning right now.
Yeah.
I'm awake. I'm going to go back and watch it again.
We committed.
Yeah,
We're committed.
well, I have to be up at like 5:30. I've got like,
What have you got on in the morning? Gym?
yeah. Well, maybe I might skip it.
My boy.
I might
You
want
know
more
how to
than
do it.
5. Yeah, what happened to you, buddy?
Yeah.
You meant to be coming with me, man.
Nah. No longer. No longer.
Spider-Man no more.
You got me to sign up to the gym with you, and then you fucking
That's
bailed
what I
on
do.
me.
That's what I do.
Does he improves people's lives by signing them up? to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
gym?
and then like
And he gets a little
bailing.
cut.
Soon enough, I'll like not be on the podcast.
Have you canceled your subscription yet?
Well, that was the Spider-Man Homecoming review. I think we all absolutely loved it, and my gym membership has turned into gym sponsorship, which is very sad. But yeah, listen, enough about us. Spider-Man, brilliant. Can't wait to go see it again. I think I'm going to try and go see it again this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see how time tells this, but this is one of my absolute favorite MCU films
Yeah.
already, I think, which
Is
is
it-
a long list. Like this
Could
is,
you like slot it into rankings for your Marvel? Like just off the top of your head?
I do have a ranking. I think
I know you do.
I
It
think-
changes all the time.
every 4 hours.
Yeah, well, so like the top 10 are pretty much all above 4 stars.
Yeah.
So there's only so much wiggle
This is
room
in the top
into
10, obviously.
Yeah, I think this landed at number 7.
Okay.
Currently, which is there's a lot of movies in there, so that's pretty good. But it's just kind of like
Only
tied
number
with other
7.
films.
I'm trying to think of what you would put. You'd put maybe, if I were to guess about what would be above this for you, it'd be. Are you gonna check it? It'd be Ant-Man. Definitely Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh God. The
Avengers,
first Avengers.
Avengers 2.
No,
Ultron
Avengers,
is
Avenger-
definitely.
Avengers
All
1
right, everyone. I'm going to read out my definitive MCU ranking.
for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
So basically, by the time this is up, it's on there. Oh wait, did I get any of those right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, wait. Should I keep going and guessing, or should we just?
I was going to say, because I already can't remember what you said.
Okay.
But look, a lot of these have the same score, and I've just kind of put them on a whim.
Arbitrarily,
Yeah, in front of each other. And some of this is going to be very controversial. But so
Go
it
top
is-
10.
It is Winter
Wait,
Well,
Soldier.
I'm just looking at this list. What is Hulk doing up there?
Hey.
Hey, whoa.
The 2003 Ang Lee Hulk.
Yeah, I was
what
gonna
the
say,
hell,
Eric
man? That's not an
Banner Hulk?
MCU.
That's weird.
But
Alright,
I'm
go
going to
on.
leave down the bottom of it because I'm going to leave the bottom off.
Yeah,
because that's going
leave
to
the
offend
bottom
people.
off. Just do the top 10.
Incredible Hulk is at the very bottom, of course. But so I've got Winter Soldier,
Yeah,
Okay.
called it.
Age of Ultron. Okay, don't have me.
Knew it.
Iron Man 3, First Avenger, Ant-Man, Civil War, Homecoming. Now, I'd put a lot of those on the same level. But then it's Guardians, Thor, Avengers, and so on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah. See, I see those ones all at the top are pretty much just flawless to me. Like I just love them to death.
Yeah.
And I put Age of Ultron on so high because it gets such a bad rap.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of
Defend
compensating.
us,
Plus,
defend
I
us.
that
love
party
the
scene.
shit out of
You
that movie. And the
cannot
party
get past
scene.
that party scene.
That party scene makes it 10 out of 10, baby.
Do you guys think this is going to crack $1 billion?
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming?
This movie is
Yes.
tracking incredibly. Like
Yeah.
for all the shit we've laid on Sony, they've been just pumping out.
Yeah.
And they get like do they get all the
They
box
get
office?
all the box office from this
Oh,
year.
What?
So this is the
Yeah.
greatest deal ever struck. My
Jeez.
thinking was they should get all of the box office up to what the last two films grossed.
Yeah.
The last two Spider-Man
Yes.
films. Everything above that is
Yeah.
Marvel's doing, and they should
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I reckon that that's what they would have traded for creative control, and fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Well, they
They know
Marvel
the-
gets all the merchandising stuff. so-
Marvel they play the long game. You know, they're in it
Yeah.
for the long haul. They're not in for the quick win.
And
Sony's in it for the quick
reckon-
win.
do you
and
know
now
what I
they get
reckon?
Spider-Man in 5 MCU movies, so
Yeah.
that's a good deal for them.
Yeah.
So I reckon if they would, have they struck the same deal? So are all the subsequent 5 ones going to be full box office proceeds to?
No, I
Sony?
mean they're going to get Spider-Man in proper MCU films, five of them,
Okay,
like
yeah.
Avengers movies and stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, that's probably what they're getting in return. But
That's exactly what I said.
I think, yeah, I think it'd be really interesting technique because then they could, after those 5 films or whatever that might be that they've already agreed on, they could say, yeah, look, you can take Spider-Man and you can give it another try, or we can start getting like bigger chunks of the pie. And I reckon Sony will have to do the smart move and be like, yeah.
Yeah, but they're
we'll
doing the
give
whole
you-
Venom thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll
But
see how
see,
that
that's
goes.
still sitting within the, or
I'm
not.
terrified they're going to reintegrate it into Venom and undo this brilliant film that
Well,
I
they
saw
won't be able
this
to. I'm
evening.
assuming they won't be able to take Tom Holland and all the like.
We'll see. I'm hoping.
It doesn't
murky.
matter.
It's
Look,
murky.
we're-
I'm
getting ahead of
No, I'm really
ourselves.
hoping after this they just keep going like Feige. Just help us a little more, please.
Yeah.
Just
They
send us a
probably
couple
will.
writers
Yeah.
for Venom. Make this your thing.
Well,
Well.
there we have it.
We finished about 15 minutes ago and kept going. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's how we do
How
it.
many times have we finished this
Anything
segment?
else?
Is there anything else you'd like to speak about?
The Suit. Yeah, loved it. Happy days. Thank goodness this was an awesome film. Yeah.
Mhm.
Happy days. I said it twice.
Happy
Yeah.
days.
The happy nights.
Monday, Tuesday.
Oh well, we'll be
Wednesday.
back for top 8 this weekend. Hopefully
8.
we can wrangle some
Yeah.
headlines together.
Baby Driver,
Don't have anything yet.
Okja.
Okja,
Yeah.
Beers and Banters up. There's plenty of content coming out on the Podcast Strikes Back channel.
boy.
Hit that subscribe button. Yay. Guys, we'll be back next time on Saturday morning
Yeah.
before you guys go camping. It's going to be fun.
Excited.
All right. It's been a pleasure. Connors
Happy days.
Hello.
and Benny's.
See ya.
Happy days.